Schanzer. He's Senior Vice President for the research at a Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, who is sanctioned in Palestinian territories. Doctor, thanks for being with us this morning. What do you expect? I guess we can, without looking past what just happened overnight and too quickly looking forward, but we are curious, what happens now? Does Hezbollah respond? Does this metastasize? Does this conflict continue to grow?
Well, I think that's the key question right now. In Israel, they're looking at two key factors. One is whether these ceasefire negotiations can continue. If they're able to make some progress, it's possible that Hezbollah abides by a ceasefire. In other words, there's a trade for hostages and possibly some Hamas prisoners, and then things go quiet. I think that is probably not likely at this point, but the U.S. administration is working overtime to try to make that happen. The other, of course, is that Hezbollah continues to test Israeli air defenses. They tried to do something last night that was rather shocking. 6,000 long-distance rockets aimed at Tel Aviv. They're trying to trot out some new capabilities right now, and they're trying to see if they can puncture Israeli air defenses. If they're able to do that, we may begin to see greater salvos, bigger salvos coming out of Lebanon, but also perhaps some of the other Iranian proxies in places like Syria and Iraq.
You know, Doctor, Hezbollah feels like a problem for Israel that obviously they're a large terror army and they've been there a long time. But after October 7th, there was a lot of speculation. Hey, did they try to make an offensive move against the Jewish state because there's so many forces, so much capability tied down in the south? Yet they haven't really. This is maybe the largest they've done. What's their calculation? I mean, if their end state is the destruction of Israel, do they feel like this is one step closer because they've got, are they testing, or do they really want a larger conflict?
Well, I think that's the key question right now. And a lot of that is going to come down to Iran itself. You got to remember, Hezbollah is a proxy. It is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And if the Iranians are telling them, do this, do that, they are usually abiding by those directions. You got to remember, Hezbollah was deployed to fight in Syria during the Syria civil war. They had no choice in the matter. They were dispatched by the Islamic Republic. So now take a look at what's happened over the last 10 months. They have fired 6,700 different projectiles into Israel. This is a war already. It's just not been one that Israel's been able to respond to immediately because they've been fighting in the south, and there have been disagreements with the Biden White House about what kinds of munitions they can use and what fronts they're allowed to fight on. The Israelis, by the way, wanted to attack Hezbollah after Hezbollah started attacking Israel on October 8th. That was the war they wanted. Biden disabused them of that, and they were forced to fight in the south, and then they found their hands tied. So now the Israelis are looking at what happened last night, and they're looking to make a statement in response. The big question is, how far does Hezbollah want to go? How far does Iran want to go with the provocations that we're seeing? Again, I think they're trying to land a debilitating blow inside Israel. We know the kinds of targets they were trying to take out. They were aiming for significant military and intelligence bases in the Tel Aviv area last night. And that's the kind of thing that would typically set off a significant conflict in the Middle East.
My understanding, and let me know if I'm wrong about this, Jonathan, is that the attack from Israel, the preemptive attack into Lebanon, was pretty far deep inside of Lebanon. Tell me what that means. And also, what about American politics? How is the politics here impacting what's happening there in this particular strike?
Yeah, so this was, first of all, a serious sort of change of the rules of the game. They were trying to reach deeper into Israel from deeper into Lebanon. Up until now, it's been really southern Lebanon attacks against northern Israel. It's been more of a contained area of fighting. This would appear to have expanded that last night, and so that's one to watch. Definitely, we're also watching what's going on here in the U.S. Obviously, we know that at one point, the Biden administration and then, Vice President Harris got into the act, trying to tie Israel's hands, trying to limit the kinds of munitions that the Israelis were getting, trying to limit where they could fight, how they could fight. That has changed since late July. after Israel took out the Fuad Shukr, the senior Hezbollah commander, and then later that afternoon or evening took out Ismail Haniyeh, the Hamas leader in Tehran, the region has been on high alert. And the U.S. military has been providing the weapons that Israel needs to defend itself. That's a good thing. But the question is, how long of a leash does Israel have if and when we begin to see, serious hostilities erupt in Lebanon? What does that mean? Will a Biden administration or, whether it's the vice president getting involved, the party is, I think, what we're worried about, what we're looking at right now. You have, I think, a portion of the party, certainly progressives within the Democratic Party, that don't want to see Israel respond. And that is, I think, the real question. What kinds of limitations are going to be placed on Israel by this administration?
Well, Dr. Jonathan Schanzer, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.